Welcome to Tansson TV Plus. Of course, I'm Brandon.
And I'm Mom.
Yes, we always love doing this, and we're doing something a little bit different today. We're doing another first episode.
Yep, this is in honor of the end of the month. It's almost Halloween. And so we're going to talk about Bewitched today.
Yes, and so we're speaking about the very first episode of the series premiere. And so, Mom, I'm very excited to speak about this episode from September of 1964.
Yes, so am I, Brandon. Do you want me to give you a little synopsis?
Yep, you can go right ahead. The show was created by Screen Gems.
All right, Brandon, I'm going to give you a little synopsis about this. First of all, we have two main characters. We have Darren and Samantha. They met one day and they fell in love and decided to get married. And when they got married, they discovered, well, not they discovered, but Darren discovered that his wife was a witch. And so it was something that she was hiding in general, about being a witch, and she didn't really want to use her powers. However, on their honeymoon, her mother came and visited during that time period. And so it was during that time that she had to use some of her witching powers. Um, Darren did learn to adjust to this. Um, and then and then, of course, when they made it back into the real world outside of their honeymoon, they were invited to a party. And at this particular party, the young lady who actually hosted the party was flirting with Darren. And so Samantha used some of her little powers in order to kind of help the situation out a little bit. But overall, the series is really about a married couple who they discover that the wife Samantha is a witch, and then the mother Endora just comes and visits from time to time.
Well, Mom, thank you so much for that.
You are welcome, Brandon.
Yeah, and so overall, I know, of course, you have seen, a bit of Bewitched, but how much have you seen overall?
Actually, Brandon, I've seen very few episodes. I mean, I see it here and there, or I watch it here and there. It's not something I look for on a regular basis, but I will say that I was pleasantly surprised with this first episode, and I think that you kind of thought the same as I did.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this episode a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah, so did I. I was ready not to like it. Like I said, I've just seen episodes here and there, but we laughed nonstop when we watched this episode, and so it was just delightful to watch. It was really fun, and if you haven't seen it, I advise people to watch it. It was just a very nice, funny episode.
Yeah, and this episode is titled "I Dare and Take This Witch Samantha," and I love that we're able to see a little bit of their love story as well.
Yeah, I thought they did a really nice job. I know we talk about initiating events with our TV shows, and of course, the initiating event for this is them getting married. But they did a nice job of explaining the backstory so well. I thought they did an excellent job.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like they did such a great job with this, and I like that we got more than just the initiating event. That we went straight into the action as well. Just not even halfway through the episode.
Yeah, and I like the way they introduced the mother also because she was not in it the whole episode, or at least the version that we saw. She was not in it the whole episode. It was just enough to introduce her, but let the episode itself kind of focus on Darren and Samantha.
Yeah, and I will say too that for the version that we saw, it was the full episode in its entirety, but they did make one modification from the original airing.
They did, and I expressed this to you when I watched it. It was in color. And so, of course, when I watched Bewitched, and it was not during that time period for those people who are trying to do math, but it was in black and white. When I watched it when I was younger, and so when you showed me this, I was in shock. So the first thing I said was, "This is in color. This cannot be right." And so, but we saw that I think it was colorized right around 2000, I believe. And so, but it was nice to see it in color.
Yeah, it really was, and from what I have seen of Bewitched, which I haven't seen much up to this point, but from what I have seen, it had largely been the black and white episodes, and so it was so fun being able to see it in color. You could sort of tell a little bit that's been colorized.
Yep, you could tell. They kind of had one scene, I think, kind of was a little black and white, but for the most part, I mean, it was in color, and it was nice.
Yeah, and what would you say was your favorite part of this episode?
My favorite part of this episode was actually occurred when Samantha and Darren were both invited to a party, and the girl was flirting with, and very obviously flirting with Darren. And Samantha just kind of sat eating her soup and doing all sorts of things to this poor girl. And it was just small things like messing with her hair and her dress, but the way they did it was very effective.
Yes, and oh my gosh, her hair with the wind was made me laugh so hard.
Yes, they did. And you could tell that they were an upper middle class family because this comes out a little later. In regards to, I was looking at the kitchen, and I don't know if you saw that where I think there was a dishwasher there. And I know that was something that was not around a lot during that time period. At least that's what I hear anyway. So yeah, I thought it was just a nicely done episode.
Yeah, it really was, and yeah, and so poor Sheila that had her day and her and I guess well part of her life just sort of ruined there at the dinner party. Um, but I think what's hilarious too uh, is that Darren is truly in disbelief that his brand new wife is indeed a witch.
And yeah, and she had to prove it to him on the honeymoon when she kept moving things around for him. And she just does it so, slyly that, he didn't quite know what she was doing.
Yeah, and I like that, without discussion, which they did have a discussion. And I like that he, sort of, at least from what we see, almost considers her as a equal, but in the same regards, like, okay, you need to stop being a witch and now become just a regular old housewife like everyone else and blend in. Um, and it sees that she's not going to give up her power all that easily.
No, she's not, and she uses it throughout the series. So yes.
But yeah, and I love when her mother Endora comes around.
Yeah, Endora does a nice job. So, like I said, for those who have not seen this episode, I'd advise you watching it. If you're a big fan of Bewitched, it was just a nice episode to watch.
Would you watch another episode?
I will, Brandon, and I think I will start back from the beginning, just to see the first few episodes to see if things kind of link together. Like I said, I've never seen the first episode before, and we were struggling with trying to figure out what show we should watch that kind of goes along with the theming for the end of the month, and so I'm glad we did decide on this one.
Absolutely, and yeah, I will continue, watching this. I'd love to sort of see how the show continues to, progress. And I will say, if there's still a black and white rerun of it, I'd love to see to pressure record on that just to see if there's any other, differences to see how the effect sort of, I mean, feels different from what we're seeing in color versus black and white.
I know, and it's been a while since we've talked about a show from the '60s, and so it was actually nice to see to go back and kind of look at a show from that era. And so I know we need to delve into that a little bit more too.
Yeah, and I will say that from the 1960s, like one of the other shows I can think of that we spoke about, yeah, was the Dick Van Dyke Show. But whereas I feel like on that show, it's like, oh yeah, well we have a married couple, but they're going to things, but we don't really see them as a couple. We see them more as parents. Whereas for this one, we can see they really are a couple.
Yes, yes, they really were a couple.
But yeah, like I said, but I'm so excited for us to continue exploring, these first episodes through the decades.
Yep, I am too, Brandon.
Yeah, and we hope that you join in on the conversation. Leave us a comment. And Mom, I always love doing this with you.
I love doing it with you also, Brandon. If you are a fan of the Bewitched show, please let us know.
Yeah, and until next time, have a wonderful day.
All right, okay. Thank you for joining us again.
We'll see you next time.
All right, bye bye, everybody.